Space is a great setting. In video games, you can do whatever the hell you want up there. The possibilities are endless. So why do they all look the same? This is why I don't play a lot of modern games. They're all starting to blend in together. They all look the same. They all have this same menu. Yeah, I don't care, you fucking Battle Pass addicted dork. Why don't you play some real video games? Imagine paying for a gay little dance! After the success of Space Invaders in 1978, the world was enamored by blasting a bunch of sea creatures out of the sky with a tank. Namco takes a crack at the space shooter and brings out Galaxian, the first game with true RGB color graphics. That is the fucking NES port. What are you doing? Oh fuck, I don't have the arcade one. Wait. Galaxian is definitely different enough to separate itself from Tato's Quarter Eater, and is legitimately a fun game to play, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still another space game, where you blast stuff and it blows up. And who likes blowing shit up? Dudes. So the arcades are filled with the homies shit-talking each other, eating pizza, and popping caps and asses. Toru Iwatani, a Namco employee, sees this and starts thinking about what his next game will be like. I'm simplifying this a lot. There really aren't many games that girls would play. There aren't many recognizable characters. There's things people know, but no actual face attached to that. He settles on the theme of eating, and the shape of the character for the word mouth is this. He rounds it out, and you end up with this little dude. Pac-Man was inspired by a lot of stuff, and if I told you what, you would think I made it up. Tom and Jerry inspired the chasing, Popeye inspired the power-up, and Q-Taro inspired the ghost designs. The ghosts were all going to be the same color, but that was thankfully changed because then you'd never know who's who. It would have been boring and a bit stressful to just have them chase you the entire time, so they don't always chase. They also all have their own unique personalities brought out in-game through their movements. The maze funnels the player into eating and gets you to understand the object of the game instantly. And finally, the player character is simple and cute. Why the hell did we never get the Japanese border artwork over here? I mean, it was in the PS1 and PS2 Pac-Man ports, and a modern version was put in the Xbox 360 version, but instead we got this, which screams, the artist was told to draw these very simple characters with minimal to no knowledge on the subject. The final product was Pac-Man, one of the best video games ever made, and anybody can play it. Everybody knows that Pac-Man fun fact, but at one point it was going to be called Snapper in America. As simple as the game seems, there's a lot to learn that makes it much more fun, in my opinion. So let's start. Like I've said before, if you want to get good at a game, you should know your enemies, and in this game, there's only 4. Shadow, Speedy, Bashful, and Pokey. You know their names everyone remembers them by, or nicknames? Their names kind of hint at their patterns, but if you were to speak Japanese and play the original game, their names are more on the nose. You got Chaser, Ambusher, Fickle, and Otoboke, which means something like Fade Ignorance, but I know most people just simplify it to Stupid. Anyway, I'll be referring to them by their American nicknames since they're the most memorable. The Ghost Gang have 4 modes. Scatter, where they all go to their corners. Chase, where they in their own special way try to attack Pac-Man directly or indirectly. Frightened, which is when they turn blue and can be munched. And Eaten, where they try to make their way back to the ghost house. You can tell when they switch from one to the other because all of them turn around at the same time. You know what, I just remembered, in the Pac-Man collection for the Game Boy Advance there's a couple of hints. Oh, get that Vaseline off my screen. Cool. Watch for Pinky. Blinky chases, Pinky ambushes, Inky scares easily, Clyde isn't very smart. Good advice, I'll talk about that in a bit. Use one-way paths near the ghost box. Ghosts can only travel in one direction, use them wisely. That sounds a bit weird, but again I'll talk about this. Pac-Man can make sharper turns when ghosts are near him. Pac-Man will travel faster when there are no Pac dots in his path. Use these to your advantage. See, I think that's an oversight because I'm pretty sure you can just turn quick whenever you want. Fruit treats appear when Pac-Man eats a certain amount of Pac dots. Munch these for bonus points. Fruit actually appears twice during a round, the first after 70 dots are eaten, the second after 170 dots are eaten. Power pellets will allow Pac-Man to eat the blue ghosts. He will also travel faster when the ghosts are blue. Yeah, I have nothing to say about that. Alright, that was fun. Now onto the rest of the stuff I typed completely up before remembering that. I brought my Wii U out for that. Fucking, I might as well play it. Let's talk about how the ghosts figure out what to do. So, during a round, the ghosts will follow this. They will scatter 4 times and chase 4 times, on the first level at least. There's technically 4 scatters all the time, but you'll see what I mean when I say there's really only 3. So on the first stage, indicated by the cherry, the ghosts scatter for 7 seconds, then chase for 20. Then they scatter for 7 again, chase for 20, then scatter for only 5 seconds, but still chase for 20. After one final scatter for 5 seconds, the ghosts will chase for the rest of the game, unless you die allowing the ghosts to scatter once again, though I don't know if the pattern is reset. When you start after a death in the later levels, the game gives you a breather for a bit because all the ghosts don't all come out at once like usual. Now, in level 2 to 4, the same pattern is used, but then you get to the third scatter, which is 5 seconds like before, but the chase after is like 17.5 minutes, 1,033 seconds, what the hell? And if you were to go past this and get to the 4th scatter mode, the scatter lasts for 1 frame. This game runs at 60 frames, by the way. So yeah, they all turn around and just go into chase indefinitely. After that, on level 5, scatter is shortened to 5 seconds. The rest is about the same, but instead of 1,033 seconds, it's 1,037 seconds. That slight addition of 4 seconds was probably made by just doing some quick math, kind of like that error with Pinky when you face upward and she's chasing. Speaking of chasing, chasing is the meat of the game. So Blinky makes a beeline towards you, Pinky is the ambusher waiting for you at the end of the hall, Inky's doing trigonometry in his head, and Clyde hides in the security corner. But that's too simple, so let's go through them one by one. I'm going to be talking about tiles, so I should explain what I'm talking about first. The game is on a grid, and the ghosts know where to go because they target a tile. How they target this tile is what makes each ghost unique.
The missile knows where it is at all times. It knows this because it knows where it isn't.
I'll get into Frighten and Returning later because all the ghosts do the same thing in these states. Blinky is the most dangerous ghost. When in Scatter, he goes towards the top right of the screen. When in Chase, his only goal is to get to Pac-Man. And he's the easiest to understand because all he does is go to whatever tile you're currently on. That doesn't sound so bad, but he also starts getting mad once there are only 20 dots left. And by that I mean he starts going as fast as Pac-Man. In later games they actually give him an angry face. This quick mode for Blinky was dubbed Cruise Elroy. I don't know where this name came from, and I don't think anybody knows anymore. Once there are only 10 dots left, he goes faster than Pac-Man. This makes getting to those dots you missed earlier harder to get to because you probably left like 2 or 3 somewhere and now Blinky's fucking pissed. If that sounds bad, it gets worse, because Blinky also starts ignoring the rules while in this state. He just ignores Scatter and goes directly for you. He'll still turn around when everyone else does, but his target is still you, so don't think you're safe because you saw everyone flip around to go back into Scatter. He's only looping around to come right back. To add to what I said earlier, when talking about the cycles resetting after a death, I do know that Blinky will forget about how goddamn mad he was until every ghost is out of the ghost house, and then he'll remember and come back to smack a bitch. While Blinky forces you to keep moving, Pinky can be seen following close by, taking the long way to cut you off. She's definitely the death of any new player that is already scared of Blinky. Luckily, she's the easiest to manipulate, as her target is the spot 4 tiles in front of Pac-Man. 4 in front of Pac-Man is about right here. This allows you to easily trick Pinky into continuing to go down a path or turn some way that prevents her from easily getting to you. Now then, that error I mentioned earlier was about a goof with the way Pinky finds where to go. It's just 4 spots in front of Pac-Man, but because of some coding math thing, when facing upwards, it's up 4 and left 4, which is incredibly helpful and really makes Pinky much less dangerous to deal with. Inky is the hardest to figure out. He doesn't only use Pac-Man's position, but also Blinky's. I'm gonna simplify it a lot, but basically, Inky's target is found by taking the spot 2 tiles in front of Pac-Man, making a line from Blinky to it, and then mirroring it. I can kind of figure it out, and it'd be easy to say that he's the only one you have to think about compared to the other ghosts, but certain parts of the maze are more dangerous because of who's where at that moment, which makes the other sections of the map a higher priority, allowing this nerd to get you by going through the most convoluted route possible. Basically, he's the ambusher for the people that got good enough to trick Pinky. The easiest thing to figure out about him is that when he lines up with Blinky, he kind of just follows him. The last ghost to talk about is Clyde. He has the weirdest way to figure out where to go. So get this, he does the same thing as Blinky, but when he gets close enough to you, his target changes to where his scatter target is, so he starts going back to his corner until he's out of that radius, at which point he'll start going towards you again. This makes him kind of interesting because I feel the common thought is that he's the dumb one that just wanders around, but you can't just disregard him. In a way, being known as the dumb one of the group gives him an advantage since you won't think about him until it's too late because you never bother to learn what he does. Simplest way to think about it is if Clyde is above you and to the right, he has a good chance of getting up in your Kool-Aid. He makes his corner pretty dangerous because he'll always be right there. Finally, I'd like to talk about the ghost movements in general for a bit. Say a ghost needs to go here. What is the next step? Well, the ghost can really only see what's directly in front of itself, as in the tile ahead. So it sees an intersection ahead, and to us it makes more sense for the ghost to go this way, right? But no, that's not what happens. See, the ghost is using the grid to find distances, and both of these have the same amount of tiles to travel through. There's obviously a longer path here, but the ghost doesn't care because they prioritize each direction like this: up, down, left, and right. And if they can't go through one, it's skipped until they find one they can go through. I think this is why Clyde will do this to try and look back to his corner. With such limited space to navigate and the ghost constantly getting in your way, it may seem like getting to anything past level 2 is impossible. But, of course, the game was made to eat quarters, and seeing your score on top of that maze feels so good that if you're playing against your friends or family, you're guaranteed to talk shit and make a big deal of getting to the Galaxian. So, knowing is half the battle, but how do I live long enough to even get a 1-up? Pac-Man, the game, only has a joystick to move, so you might figure that there isn't much to do besides just not getting hit. But there are a couple things to know so you can get around easy. For example, Pac-Man makes tighter turns than the ghosts. They have to make it to the 5th pixel of the way they want to get into, forcing them to take just a little longer when turning. If you notice, the walls are rounded, and in some sort of weird ultra-cryptic way, I think this was a way for them to let you know you can slide around the walls. Pac-Man can hug the wall by holding the direction he wants to go towards before you make the turn. This allows him to avoid being caught just long enough to get a power pellet, get into a tunnel, or one of those paths a ghost can't take. This is called cornering, and it's why Pac-Man isn't really aligned with the wall sometimes as you would expect. It also lets you do this corner bug. If you and a ghost take the same corner at the same time, you'll go through each other, and other games acknowledge it too. Now, when I say one of those paths the ghost can't take, don't think you're forever safe. Well, kinda. What I'm talking about is that right here, above the ghost house and right above your starting point, are exits only for ghosts. They can go down them, but not up. This makes right here a sort of safe zone, and if you wanted to, you could sit here for a while. But sitting here isn't completing anything. I don't know how you're supposed to know the ghost can't go through here, but the ones above the ghost house are kind of hinted at. I think. If you ever watch Blinky and learned that he always goes to this corner at the beginning, why the hell would he ever go this way? Why not this way? Or out this side? I don't have an answer for this side, except that ghosts tend to always come out of the house and go to the left immediately. Except when they don't. If you're wondering why you'd go through a tunnel, it's because the ghosts slowed down when passing through it, allowing you to skedaddle the hell away. Another thing to take advantage of is that ghosts cannot turn around in the middle of chasing you. That sounds like bullshit because they do turn around during a mode change, but it's something you need to remember if you want to be confident enough to run towards one. If they just change from scatter to chase, you know you have a lot of time before being behind one's dangerous. Now on to a forbidden technique. I'm not cheating and I don't have a hacked switch. This is the same as the cornering trick, but harder because you're on a straightaway. See, what's happening is you and a ghost are landing on each other's tiles at the same time. So 1 second you're like this, and next like this. I guess if you were a god at this, you could potentially play however you want and never die, but it usually happens on accident. I just turned around right here and got lucky. Alright, let's put some of this nerd shit into action. Alright, I just fucking dropped my goddamn snowball microphone and broke the damn thing. I can't connect it anymore. It's done. So, here's a little warm-up. That has got to be the freakiest fucking shit I've ever seen happen in this game. I know they're ghosts, but holy fuck. What the fuck? Oh, fuck! Oh, shit. Alright, so basically, this entire time, I've been playing Namco Museum for Switch. Now, the thing is, I've been using that because for whatever freaking reason, Pac-Man Museum Plus has a bunch of sound issues. I don't know why. It just glitches the fuck out every once in a while. It also has a very ugly fucking filter. It's not even aligned. That shit looks gross, dude. Anyway, Cherry, all you have to do is literally not die. It is the simplest... You didn't see shit. Shut up. Anyway, first level of any game is going to be really easy. There's not much to say, honestly. You know what? There is. On level 1, Pac-Man is going at 80% his max speed, while the ghosts are going 75% their max speed. When you eat a dot in level 1, Pac-Man drops down to 71% his max speed, and he goes up to 90% his max speed when he gets a power pellet. The ghosts go down to 50% their max speed, which is why it's really easy. Level 2 is where it starts getting a little bit harder, noticeably harder, I guess I should say. Nothing major, everything is just going a little bit faster. Pac-Man is now at 90% his max speed. Eating dots shrinks this down to 79% his max speed. When the ghosts are frightened, he goes up to 95% his max speed. Ghosts are now going 85% their max, and they're down to 55% when they are frightened. Look at this motherfucker. These little cutscenes are referred to as coffee breaks. Level 3 is where the game kind of starts getting a little harder to the average person. Nothing actually has changed since the strawberry, but I guess it's just nerves. I've seen a lot of people get to this, and suddenly it's just, I guess, a bit too much. Literally nothing has actually changed. It's just the orange is a new fruit. That's about it. What I kind of like to do is try and figure out a little route that is the safest at the beginning. I'm not a wizard at this game like some other people, but Pac-Man is one of those games that you can solve. Because everything works a certain way, you can basically manipulate everything to working for you, which is why it's possible for anybody to just do the same thing over and over and over and keep winning. I completely forgot that was the last dot. After the orange, you get another orange. From here on out, any new fruit will appear twice. Alright, so here's something that you really need to keep track of. Where they are going as they revert back to normal. When a ghost is in frightened mode, they can go wherever they want. Even up areas they're not supposed to be able to go through normally. So suddenly you have one in an area that you have learned, oh, they can't go up through there. They can now. But in this situation, what makes this dangerous is that they are going down towards you. So if that was Blinky and he was directly in my way right there in the corner, I would have no way out if I was already trapped from behind. The apple is where Pac-Man is finally at his fastest. He is at 100% speed. He doesn't go any faster when he gets a power pellet, and he goes 87% his max speed when eating dots. The ghosts are now at 95% their max speed, and when frightened, only go down to 60. From now until the 20th level, Pac-Man will be at 100%. Everything after the 21st level, the game actually ramps it up, keeping the ghosts quick, but dropping you back down to 90%. You also revert back to going 79% when eating dots. But who the hell makes it to 21 and up? This is probably one of the weirdest... What is he? The second apple is the first noticeable breather. By that I mean, you can tell that suddenly the power pellet is starting to work a little better than before. This is only temporary. For this one level, it'll work really well. Afterwards, it starts going back to not doing as much. This isn't the last time this will happen either. Later on, the game will cut you some slack as well. It feels like a little checkpoint, just to tell you, alright, here you go. Have a little bit more fun before I throw you back into hell. The melon is the first level where the power pellet really starts not doing as much. I'm talking if there is any ghost that you feel like traveling towards, it's probably a good idea not to. They better be right next to you for you to turn around and grab them, because at this point, you're gonna have to have them right there. There is no chasing anymore. You run the hell away or you eat the one right next to you. That is it. I forgot to mention earlier that you can only get one extra life. You get it at 10,000 points. I also forgot to mention that the melon is the first fruit to be in the quadruple digits at 1,000. At this point, you're making more bank off that fruit than the ghosts. I also take my first death. Fuck you, Blinky. As a fruit, the Galaxian is pretty out of place, unless I was supposed to be shooting fruit in that game. I don't know how true it is, but I heard that apparently they just ran out of ideas for fruit, so they just put a Galaxian in here. I always assumed it was because they were proud of Galaxian. I mean, pretty big milestone. Anyway, the Galaxian is worth 2,000 points. Unfortunately, I died the second time here. The power pellet is... it's a distraction at this point. It is not doing much. It is just... how many times do they flash after eating it? 4 times? Yeah, good luck, dude. I would very much like to know what the heck Pac-Man saw. Look at him. What is he? Galaxian number 2 gives you back the ability to actually do something with the power pellet. I gotta say, it's pretty damn fun at this point. You're just flying around. It's just, I don't know, kinda got a groove going. I don't have much to say anymore. I guess one little weird fact about the fruit, once it appears, it has a very weird timer in that it stays on screen from in between 9 and 10 seconds. Now you might be thinking, so 9.5 seconds. No, it's weird. It's like 9.3 seconds, but sometimes it's like 9.7. It changes. I don't know why. It's very minuscule and you're never gonna notice it unless somebody tells you. The bell is like the Galaxian. You either eat the power pellet and run, or you eat the guy next to you. You do not chase anybody. It gets a little dangerous. The bell is a very sweet 3,000 points. Oh my god, look at him! You can definitively call this point Blinky's fucking pissed, the game. If there's anybody to get the fuck rid of. Look at that shit. I had like 1 frame to get Inky. That was dangerous as all hell. If there's one person to send back, and you have to think about this. If you eat a second ghost, the other one doesn't stop going to the ghost house and freeze with everybody else. They're still going. If there's one person to really screw over, just get Blinky by himself, because he'll take the full time to go while you're still moving. I'm not the best Pac-Man player, but god damn it, I got the fucking key. I don't give a shit. Do what you must, I've already won. This is uncharted territory for me. This is the first time I've ever gotten the key. It was fun making this video. I am sorry that it took forever for this to come out. I actually really only work on these after I get off of work. I have a lot of ideas for other videos. Hopefully this was entertaining. It took me like 15 minutes to do that Mortal Kombat danger thing because I'm an idiot. Once again, I hope the next video does not take this long to come out. And I'm also sorry for the drop in audio quality. I guess I'll see you next time. Thank you.